Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly, pronoun she, her, hers, and I'm the founder of Abundance Medic Center. I'm super excited to be introducing something to you today called the Emotional Freedom Technique. So this is meant to be a series of videos, an introduction, and then the rest will follow, hopefully in a logical coherence. But I hope this does give you a quick introduction to what an emotional freedom technique is and why it might be beneficial. So let's dive right on in. This will be short and sweet. So quick outline, literally we're going to talk about what is EFT, and then we're going to look at the research and how you can use it and why it might be beneficial. So here's something kind of fun that I love to talk about, which is what is EFT? Because most people don't know what it is. And when I first heard of it, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so the reason I find it fun is because this is something so fascinating and I wish I'd known about it earlier. So EFT, emotional, is the abbreviation for that full emotional long, three words. It's an evidence-based practice. So what that means is that there's evidence via solid research to demonstrate its effectiveness. And by solid research, I mean randomized control trials, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. It's also grounded in integrated field of energy psychology. So depending on who you talk to, energy psychology doesn't quite fit what people are talking about, but it's been this along with a few other things have been lumped into energy psychology. And it also integrates components of cognitive behavioral therapies, exposure therapy, and something that's a little different and that people may not necessarily associate with this technique until they kind of experience it is there's stimulation of acupressure points in the face and the body. So there's multiple lenses to look at this from. We can look at it from the Eastern perspective and the Western perspective, depending on which way you want to go. But regardless, research says that it works. So the other name you'll probably hear is tapping. It's kind of the more common mainstream version of how I hear EFT spoken about. And getting back to the research, because I'm a research junkie and I want to also show that this is not something that practitioners have made up. There's over 100 peer-reviewed studies looking at not only how it can benefit from a psychological perspective, but also the physiological perspective. So I started down talking about evidence-based and what that means moments ago. So randomized control trials are kind of one of those gold star types of research because they really look at control groups and treatment groups, but so that there is a way to prove causation, not necessarily correlation. There's also systematic reviews, meta-analysis, and outcome reviews. So systematic reviews and meta-analyses basically take all these studies that have been done, pull them together, look for themes, look for patterns, and basically I'll come to say that tapping or EFT is effective. All right, so what does the research say? There's so much out there. This is just like a drop in the bucket about what I could have pulled. But I just chose a few examples for us to explore today. So emotional freedom technique has been studied in anxiety, fear, depression, trauma. There's been studies about working with veterans families, for example, PTSD as well, pain, and even in athletes with sports confidence. So there's research to back up the support for all these different ways that we can use tapping or EFT. Again, drop in the bucket. There's so much more to say about effectiveness in research. But again, introduction video, not meant to go into super depth. Always happy to talk to people more and provide more research about this topic. But just know that science is backing up something that can be helpful to people. And it can be used, again, in a variety of different ways. Working with, from the clinical perspective, I love that it works with anxiety and depression, and working from the athlete perspective, I love that I can use it with sports confidence too. So there's just so many different ways we can use EFT and tapping. So as I mentioned, I want you to know that I'm not pulling this out of thin air. Here are my references. Please feel free to look them up. Please feel free to find more of your own if you're interested in it. You don't have to. You can trust me if you'd like. But I always encourage you to be a critical thinker look up research, look up other resources, make sure that people are driving with what research is saying or what other people are saying in the field. And I don't want you to necessarily take my word for it. I'd like you to be a critical thinker as well. But I hope you do trust me too. The paradox. And of course, my contact information. I love to have a chance to chat with you, explore, have conversations about what typing is, and kind of generally get to know people who are interested in how to use it as an athlete, how to work it into clinical work. I work with clients and supervisees. I kind of love teaching this stuff too. So anyway, regardless of who you are, when you're ever watching this video, I hope that you find it helpful. That it gave you just a quick snippet of what EFT is or tapping, and hopefully you might want to learn more and explore a little bit more about what this technique is. So thank you so much for your time and attention today, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you. Take care.